By now it should come as no surprise that Penny is going to be hacked throughout Volume 8. This was foreshadowed in the opening of the volume itself, and as of Episode 5 of Volume 8, it actually happened. Ironwood and Watts put their plan into motion to interfere with Penny's systems, and we saw her malfunction, shut down, and fall from Amity Coliseum. But even now, we're not exactly sure to what extent Penny has been hacked, or if she will be able to fight back against it. Watts could have programmed in a simple kill switch to shut Penny down and leave her wherever she landed for Salem and the rest of her forces to find. Or he could have hacked into the convenient remote control function that Penny has that was displayed in Episode 3 of Volume 8, where Pietro was able to remote control Penny and take control of her. If Watts was able to hack into that system, then he could just control Penny and fly her right to Salem. Then there's also the aspect of Penny not just being a machine. She has free will, she possesses a soul, and we know how powerful souls are in the world of RWBY, with aura and semblance, etc. Not to mention everything that was foreshadowed in Volume 7, where Penny is getting much more in touch with her human emotions, becoming a real girl, fitting in with the Pinocchio illusions. So Penny, I fully believe she will be able to fight back against this hacking to some extent using her free will. And there's also the fact that Pietro would likely still have access to her systems and be able to recode her and get rid of the hacking in general, or disconnect her from the same signal that her blades have, etc. So there are numerous ways that this hacking could be prevented or counteracted too, but regardless of how this plays out, I think we are going to see a permanent change in Penny, not necessarily because of this hacking, but it is going to be enabled because of this hacking. I think we are going to see Penny be corrupted and turned to Salem's side, because in the opening of Volume 8, we did see the foreshadowing of Penny's hacking, as I mentioned before. We see this outline of Penny, then we see her eye turn red, but then there is one more image after that where we see the entirety of Penny's outline turn red. And to me, that is very reminiscent of a scene we saw back in Volume 6. When Salem emerged from the black pools and had been corrupted by them. And I think the exact same thing is going to happen to Penny, that she is going to be put into the black pools by Salem and corrupted, turned into something that Salem can take control of outside of the hacking, giving Salem a much more obedient puppet possessing the maiden powers versus her current maiden, that is Cinder, who is now disobeying direct orders immediately after obtaining them. We already know that Salem brought a portion of the black pools with her. We see the grim liquid that is flowing in a river towards Mantle, so it would stand to reason that the whale itself has a bunch of that black liquid in it, and Salem, if she has access to Penny, could easily put her in there and corrupt her. Now, there's always the question of, wouldn't that just kill Penny? And I would argue that it would not. In the case of Salem, she had an immortal body gifted to her by the God of Light, or I guess cursed upon her by the God of Light, and so her body was unable to be destroyed by these black pools. And thus, her body survived, and her soul was corrupted. Her soul wasn't necessarily made immortal, though. I think in the world of RWBY, souls themselves are already immortal. Since I've already mentioned that they have the powers of aura and semblance, they're more powerful than, the souls in our world, but we also saw that Ozma was called to an in-between world with the God of Light, and he asked the God of Light to just send him to the afterlife to be with Salem. So there is an afterlife, souls themselves do seem to be immortal, and in the case of Penny, she is in a mechanical body. I don't know if the grim liquid itself could actually corrupt a mechanical body. And if it can't destroy the mechanical body, then it could certainly corrupt the soul within it, while the body still survives, creating, in a sense, almost a second Salem, although a weaker version of Salem, because Salem has her full magic, whereas Penny only has a portion of Ozpin's as the Winter Maiden. So Salem, being the technical queen of Grimm currently, might be able to control Penny like the puppet she thinks she is. And if that is the case, then Penny will make a permanent shift to Salem's side, after this volume, or at some point this volume, for the foreseeable future, though I still don't think it's going to be absolutely permanent. I think there will be a way that Ruby and her Silver Eyes, with the emotion of trying to preserve Penny's life or bring back her friend, would be able to purge the grim or the corruption from her system, from her soul at some point in the future. But for now, I fully see Penny becoming a corrupted version of herself, a dark version of herself, and becoming one of Salem's new lieutenants. This would make Penny a huge threat. Not only would she have the Winter Maiden powers and the functionality she already has, but if she has some control over Grimm thanks to this corruption as well, then she could be even more powerful than she is now. And this would make a very emotional scene if at the end of Volume 8, where Ruby has been searching for her friend, wanting to reunite with her after finding that she had been hacked and fell from Amity Coliseum, only to see that she had turned into a dark and corrupted version of herself. And as well, this would make the final scene that we see Penny talk to Pietro in episode 5 that much more emotional. The last words that she was able to speak while she was still herself was that she loved her father. And those would be her last words to her father. After that, if Salem gets a hold of her, corrupts her, and turns her to her side, then she would no longer be the Penny that we know and love. She would be something sinister, something evil, something that Salem controls thoroughly, a puppet for Salem to use. Her only salvation being the first friend she was able to make, Ruby. The Silver Eyes being her only hope. And at some point in the future of RWBY, when it comes to, Volume 10, 11, when they get to Vacuo, when Ruby is able to come face to face with Penny again, will she be able to bring Penny back? And at that point, she might be stronger for it, be more in touch with the Maiden powers, perhaps have other Maiden powers at that point. If Penny does become a very obedient Maiden, then Salem might not have any more use for Cinder and try to force the Maiden powers on to Cinder. We already know Salem can create Grimm that has the power to siphon Maiden powers. That's what Cinder used to siphon the Maiden powers from Amber, and it seems Cinder's arm also has that capability, so Salem would likely have ways of taking Maiden powers, if she has the Maidens in front of her, and converging them on one source. So Penny might become extremely powerful and extremely crucial to the final battle by the end of it, though if she's on Salem's side, she would be an incredible threat. After that point, if she's able to be brought back, she might be a very powerful ally, but right now, I think it is a very likely possibility that Penny could be brought to Salem's side, corrupted by the black liquid, and turned into a dark version of herself. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments below. We know that Volume 8 is going to be a dark volume in general. This has been foreshadowed quite a bit by the writers and voice actors of RWBY, and this would be one way to definitely add to that. Having Penny return in Volume 7 after being absent, after being thought dead for the past 3 volumes before that, it was very emotional. And then having Penny return for that volume, be a main character, and for the first portion of Volume 8, only to have her hacked, taken control of, and corrupted. She's still being a member of the RWBY series, but not the Penny that we know, would be incredibly impactful. And honestly is something that I would kind of like to see happen. This would make a very interesting plotline for RWBY and Penny, the emotions that would take place, as well as seeing what it would do to Pietro. I really don't want to see what happens to Pietro in that situation, because a dark Penny might end up coming face to face with her father, and the last thing that he sees of his daughter is her killing him. And I really don't want that to be the case. I really don't want Pietro to die at Penny's hands, because if she ever returned to herself, well, in any way, I want happy things for Pietro, but if Penny returned to herself and realized, or still had the memories, like her humanity was locked within her mind or something like that, and she was able to be aware of everything that was happening, her coming to the realization that she killed her own father would be absolutely devastating. But these are all possible plot lines that I could see based on Penny being hacked, based on the opening showing that Penny turned entirely red, which says to me that she turned entirely evil or entirely corrupted, towards Salem's side, very reminiscent of when Salem arose from the black liquid when she was first corrupted. And I think that this might be the way that Volume 8 is going to progress. But as I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think that this is going to be a viable route for Volume 8 to take? Do you think this is where Penny's fate lies? Do you think that RWBY would be able to save her if this type of thing did happen? And do you think that Salem would gladly take this puppet, one that would be obedient versus the one that she currently has in the form of Cinder? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did and want to see more analysis, more theories, more RWBY content in general, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at Phoenix Knight 7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.